Welcome to Dungeon Master Doom's lair. As I've been pondering in my lair, I've been thinking about the ability scores. I've been comparing the ability scores from Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition to the Pathfinder ability scores, and I like the differences, but I was also looking and trying to look at min-maxing characters and get the stats up to the best of their abilities. And when I did the point allocation system, I started to realize that there is no point to have an odd-numbered stat, except for a buffer if an ability score gets attacked. But then that buffer isn't going to do that much or come into use that often, so you're better off just going with the even-numbered stats. And I've been looking at it, and there just seems like there's actually no point to have a stat of 11 if you're doing the point allocation. So I do like the roll 4d6, take away the lowest, and then you can allocate those scores however you want. But then I realized something else. Now, Pathfinder is Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition full throttle. But then I realized I could turn the throttle up just a little bit more, because you can do a +3 stat without affecting the modifiers when you're building a character, and it's the modifiers based on the stats that the entire character is built on. So it should be okay to have a stat go up to 21. So I am going to try to just take it up one more notch, because that's what Pathfinder is. It's high fantasy, taking the D20 system up to its maximum power creep. So, I have also made a list of house rules bonuses for the races in the games I want to run. And this started because I didn't like the half-orcs. They're totally lame in both D&D 3rd edition and Pathfinder. In Pathfinder, they're just equivalent to humans, and in Dungeons & Dragons, they have a strength bonus, but then they're negative on intelligence and charisma. And if they're negative on charisma, they don't get their intimidation bonus, and a half-orc should be able to get that intimidation bonus. So, for Dungeon Master Doom's new stats, we'll start with the half-orcs. Since we can pump it up to a +3, half-orcs get a +3 to their strength, and to keep that +2 bonus to all characters method consistent with Pathfinder, I'll give him a -1 to intelligence. So he's the strong brute now, and he's really strong with that +3 to strength. And then I thought I might amp up the dwarves and the elves a little bit. Now, in D&D, they didn't have wisdom and intelligence bonuses. But in Pathfinder, they keep it pretty simple. +2 here, +2 there, -2 here, there. And But you can do the +3s. You can get away with it. So, with the dwarf, I'm doing a +3 constitution, only a +1 to wisdom, and a -2 to charisma. So in Pathfinder, dwarves are making better clerics because of their +1 to wisdom. But it wasn't like that in the older games, and they were always a warrior class, but they have that extra +1 to wisdom. I think it's still cool. And I did the same thing with elves, a +3 to dexterity, a +1 to intelligence, and a -2 to constitution. So that's how I changed those two. Halflings, halflings are perfect. +2 to dexterity, +2 to charisma, -2 to strength. Halflings are awesome. They're created good. They make the really awesome little thief. Okay, gnomes. I want to change their stats because of the fluff. Now, they always had their +2 constitution bonus in the older D&D games because they were like dwarven cousins. They lived beneath the earth with the dwarves back then. But Pathfinder has changed it to where they came from the Fey creatures. They're a weird Fey creature from a different dimension or reality. So I was thinking of getting rid of that constitution bonus and making it a wisdom bonus, or maybe an intelligence bonus. I think I'll change it to a +2 intelligence. They would have a weird intelligence, and that would help them with their illusionist spells. I always liked the gnome illusionist. So I want to make them a mental ability based race. So let's do +2 intelligence, +2 charisma, and -2 strength for the gnomes. So I want to change that. Then we got humans and half-elves. Humans, pretty generic. I don't like the +2 on humans. But I like how humans have always been a versatile race. So instead of their +2 to a stat of your choice, but keeping with the +2 ability bonus method in Pathfinder, I'm thinking a +1 to a stat of your choice, and then another +1 to another stat of your choice. So a human with a 19 strength is pretty pumped up, but it's not too pumped up. It's good for a Pathfinder power creep pumped up. Alright. You don't need the +2. And also, I get rid of that +2 bonus, because then I can make the half-elves a little more interesting. So they'd get the whopping +2 to dexterity, and no negatives or anything. I was thinking maybe +2 to dexterity, +1 to intelligence, and -1 to constitution. And that would make them like lesser elves, but it's just still too elfy. And I just like them to just be, they just are really dexterous. So I'll just give them the straight +2 dexterity roll, instead of what Pathfinder has is +2 to any stat, and that's not elfy. That's just the same as humans. They made the half-orcs, half-elves, and humans all the same. So I want to change them up and make their ability scores special. So you think going +3 to an ability score might just be too much? Will the game blow up if I turn the throttle up as just a notch higher than Pathfinder, who's already taken they've already taken the D&D game up to its maximum power creep, but I want to just tweak it a little bit more. Do you think it will work? Dungeon Master Doom wants to know.